In this video, we're going to start to make the paddle actually fire the rockets when certain things happen. So we're going to be working in the paddle class for a little while. So open that up, please, and we're going to add a field to keep track of how many rockets the paddle can shoot. So we're going to say private int num rockets, and we're going to initialize num rockets to 0. For testing, actually, let's initialize it to something so we can see num rockets equals just 10 right off the bat. So we'll be able to fire 10 rockets when the paddle is created. You have to add that to both constructors. Now, we are going to want to see if we have in fact collided with a large paddle, and the way we're doing that is through this method called modify. So anytime a collision is detected between a brick and the paddle, if that brick is a modifier, it's sent over to the paddle so it can do something. So we're going to say if m instance of rocket mod, then we want to increase the number of rockets by 10. Let's just add 10 rockets to the number of rockets that the person currently has available to them. And then we want to have a method so the game panel class can know how many rockets the paddle can fire still. So we're going to say public int get num rockets, and we're just going to return num rockets here. Then we also want to have a method that can communicate, okay, a rocket has been fired, so we're going to say public void rocket or fire rocket, and all we're going to do here is num rockets minus minus. And then we're going to head back over to the game panel and start working with a paddle actually. The first thing that we can do is, instead of when we are going to fire a rocket, so let's say let's work on key press right now. So in key press, we need to check if the person actually has any rockets. So if the paddle dot get num rockets is greater than 0, then we want to allow them to shoot a rocket. And so we say add rocket is true, but we also want to communicate that a rocket has been fired. So the paddle dot fire rocket. Alright, and now we want to, let's go down and make the position of the rocket actually relative to the paddle, so not just at 200x. Here we want to say, let's fire a rocket from the left of the paddle, so the paddle dot get x minus, I don't know, let's just say 20. Yeah, and that should fire it off from the left side. And then we're going to say we're going to fire one off from the right side, so the paddle dot get x plus the paddle dot get width, which we haven't created yet. We could also do this without creating another method, so you can say, like, because we already have a method called get rect for the paddle, and then we can say dot get max x, and then we can say just max x. That should be fine, not plus 20. So we're going to fire 2 new rockets. Is this a double? So we have to cast this to an int. So this is another way that you could get at that information about what is the right side of the paddle. Let's see, have I done this all correctly is the big question now. So the paddle, I believe, should be able to fire rockets from the left and the right side at this point. But I didn't test it beforehand because yeah, there we go. And they're colliding correctly and they're being removed. Looks awesome. Alright, so let's see if the number of rockets goes up. I'm going to use all my rockets, and then I'm going to wait for this interminable. Okay, there's a faster one. Let's get this one. So now after this, I should be able to fire 10 more. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so it's communicating how many rockets I have left to fire. Looking pretty good. There's a couple things left to tweak, and we'll do that in the next video.